Good Friday afternoon, Southwest Florida. Welcome to the Larry Timko Show on 1070 NBC Sports, broadcasting live from our Port Charlotte studios here on Kings Highway. Phone lines are open at 941-206-1070 if you're listening on your iHeartRadio app or live online at 1070NBCSports.com. 800-668-1070 will get you into the studios. Bill Siebert will be joining me here in about 15 minutes. He's running a little bit behind. Along with Eric Andreas from Vasani's, and I believe comedian Vic Dibitteo will be joining us as well. Vic appeared on ABC's America's Funniest People, where he was the $10,000 grand prize winner. He's also been on Stand Up Spotlight on VH1, and also did a pilot with Woody Allen and Danny Aiello. Neat. Also, yeah, he was also featured in Kevin James' movie Mall Cop, Paul Blart 2, which came out in 2015. He's an internet sensation. And hopefully he'll be joining us in studio. He'll be performing at Vasani's all weekend long. So Vic Dibitteo, hopefully he'll be joining us along with Eric Andreas. We're getting ready for high school football. Kickoff Classic is live right here on 1070 NBC Sports tonight, starting at 7:15. We'll start things off a little bit early at 5:30 with Jeff Briscoe's Coach's Corner. He sat down with head coach Jordan Ingman to talk about the upcoming season. But, of course, the game will air at 7:15 with the kickoff at 7:30 as the Hardy Wildcats will take on the Port Charlotte Pirates. You can join myself and Jeff Briscoe tonight at 7:15 for that game. I'm looking forward to it. If you remember last year, Port Charlotte went 8-2 last year. They lost in the regional quarterfinals, but at least they went to the playoffs. And they're bringing back a very young team. They're going to play tonight against the Hardy Wildcats. They were 8-3 last year, and they lost in the regional quarterfinals as well to Immokalee. This is a matchup between two playoff teams from last year. It's going to be fun to watch. Like I said, Hardy was the District 5A11 champions, but they lost a lot of offensive firepower to graduation. So the Wildcats, I don't know what we're going to see coming into tonight. I know they've got a new quarterback. He was a former wide receiver who's made the transition to quarterback, and they're going to need him because last year's quarterback threw 31 touchdowns to only 6 interceptions. I actually have his stats somewhere here. Yeah. He was a senior last year. Colagavini, is that how you say it? 31 touchdowns, 8 interceptions last year. So that's a lot of production that needs to be replaced. And they're going to go with Kai Washington, former wide receiver, switch to quarterback. And, of course, Port Charlotte has a chance to do some very serious damage in Class 6A this year. They've got a bunch of starters returning on both sides of the ball. And this year, they've got the Charlotte Sun Defensive Player of the Year, Devin Leacock, on the team. He will be playing defensive tackle, big, massive, 6'3", 285-pound defensive tackle who's going to clog up the middle. So it's going to be hard to run up the middle against the Port Charlotte Pirates. I expect the Pirates to come out really hungry this season. I expect them to get their season started with a bang. Of course, next week they have the Northport Bobcats. We will be broadcasting that game as well. So, yeah, I'm excited. Hardy and Port Charlotte tonight. And, of course, the Charlotte Tarpons had their kickoff classic game last night, and boy, they came out storming too. They're like, the Tarpons are like, you know what? We're still the team to beat. We haven't lost a regular season game in over 2 years. So Tarpons, all the talk about the Port Charlotte Pirates, I think the Tarpons are getting a little antsy about that. They built up a 31-7 lead in the first half, which was way too much for Mariner to overcome. They ended up winning the game 38-23. Tarpons used 3 different quarterbacks, and that's what I was wondering. Who was going to be the starting quarterback for the Charlotte Tarpons this year? Alex Muse went 2 for 3 with 67 yards. He did throw an interception, though. Zach Radulowski, who I thought was going to be the starter this year, went 1 for 4 for 40 yards. And then a kid I'm not familiar with, Anthony Squiteri, he was 4 for 8 for 33 yards. So there's 3 different quarterbacks in a rotation right now in that kickoff classic game last night against Mariner. Something I'm not used to seeing Binky Waldrop do, rotate quarterbacks. Usually they have one starter and they go with him for the whole season. This year, it's a toss-up. I really thought it was going to be Zach Radulowski because he was the backup quarterback last year to DeAndre Hicks, and he got in some mop-up time. Alex Muse, of course, came over from Port Charlotte as a transfer, wasn't going to win the job from Paul Barnes, and he really wanted to play quarterback, so I guess they're going to give him every opportunity to take over the starting quarterback job there in Charlotte. So we'll know for sure next Friday night. And, of course, we will have the Gibbs-St. Pete game in 2 weeks. So, but last night the game was over basically when Jihad Joseph had a 71-yard touchdown on an interception late in the fourth quarter, which gave Charlotte its only score in the second half and a 38-15 lead. Now, what I heard from the people that were actually at the game last night is that in the second half, the Tarpons played a lot of second and third string players, giving them some playing time. So that's why you saw kind of a lopsided lead go to Mariner in the second half, because they basically scored 21. What is it? Actually, they scored 14, 15, 16 points in the second half compared to 7 in the first half. So it was 38-23 was the final there as the Charlotte Tarpons went ahead and did beat Mariner. But tonight, of course, Hardy-Port Charlotte, we are looking forward to that game. Jeff Briscoe and I will be calling that game. And like I said, there's a lot of interesting things I'm looking forward to seeing. First of all, you got Paul Barnes, the new quarterback. Well, he's not the third-year quarterback for the Port Charlotte Pirates. Well, I'm looking to see how he grows and develops, because you remember he took over his sophomore year. He went from wide receiver to quarterback, and basically in the flip of a coin, we were surprised to see Paul Barnes under center, but there he is. And then last year, he kind of grew a little bit into the offense, but still was having a hard time finding downfield receivers. I don't entirely blame that on Paul Barnes. I blame it more on the lack of receiving targets for the Port Charlotte Pirates, because they're more of a ground and pound type of team. And they're returning those players too. But Ty Luther did catch 2 touchdowns in what they call the spring game, the 7-on-7. So it looks like we might actually have a downfield threat in Ty Luther. And of course, Mark Jean-Louis at running back, he's going to be special. Davion Keys is returning. A lot of these kids are returning from last year's 8-2 team. Devin Hunter is going to be playing middle linebacker. Jaden Edwards, that's who I expect to have a really good year at wide receiver. He's a 5'10" wide receiver. Now, granted, I know Ty Luther's 6'1", but you got Ty Luther on one side, you have Jalen Edwards on the other side. That provides 2 pretty decent weapons right there for Paul Barnes. I still think they need to find a quality tight end. I don't know who's gonna actually take over the tight end position yet. That's the question. Do they even have a tight end on the roster is the question, because the roster I have is kind of limited right now. So we'll see what happens there. But with Paul Barnes, I really think this is a team that's going to give the Charlotte Tarpons a fight for their money this year. Oh, I know the blue and gold are starting to boom me now up there in Punta Gorda, but think about this here. I mean, let's be realistic. The Tarpons, 2 straight undefeated seasons, 2 straight seasons of winning the district. They pretty much graduated all their starters. All right? All the starters are gone. So we got to start. You're basically starting from scratch in Charlotte. Where in Port Charlotte, you're returning all your starters off an 8-2 team, including your quarterback, a couple of your wide receivers, your running back, and the offensive line is pretty much intact too. Devin Leacock, of course, we know he's going to play defensive tackle, but they also got him playing both ways at guard. His brother Brandon's going to play tackle. Michael Isaac, 6'3", 210 pounds. There's some beef on that line. Now, granted, they got one 300-pound player, and that's going to be Caden Markham, who's going to play defensive tackle and nose guard. He's not even going to play on the offensive line for what I'm hearing. He's only a junior, too. 6'4", 305-pound junior. That's some heavy weight right there. I like him at defense, but, man, if he can play a little offensive line, that's just going to open up some huge holes there for the running game with Mark Jean-Louis and Davon Keys and Sean Campbell. Those 3 guys right there, they're going to be carrying the bulk of the load for the Port Charlotte Pirates for this season, I'm pretty sure. I mean, things can change with injuries and depth charts and, stupid stuff like in-school suspensions, which really doesn't happen a lot with the Port Charlotte Pirates or the Charlotte Tarpons. They really have a really good... I give the coaching a lot of credit there, because they keep these kids in line as far as grades are concerned, as far as discipline's concerned. It's basically all about football till the end of the season. And you got to give the head coaches and the rest of the coaching staff a lot of credit on that too. So high school football, it's officially underway. I'm so excited. Port Charlotte Pirates against the Hardy Wildcats. That will be tonight. Next week, we've got the Northport Bobcats against the Port Charlotte Pirates. That's a rivalry game. That'll be next Friday. And then September 1st, Gibbs St. Pete at Charlotte. That is the Charlotte Tarpons home opener. We'll be there for that. Then the week after, it's Venice at Charlotte. That's a big rivalry game. They play for the Suncoast Media Cup, big trophy. And then after that, it's Port Charlotte at Cape Coral. That'll be our first road game. And then Fort Myers at Charlotte, September 22nd. That is a big rivalry game. That might also be homecoming for the Tarpons as well. And then the North Fort Myers at Port Charlotte. Then October 6th, it's a bye week. And then the rest of the season after that. It's going to be a lot of fun. And we are still looking for some sponsors, too. If you're interested or you know anybody who is, it's a great way to get your name out in front of lots of people, because not only do they listen to the game online or on the radio, but we broadcast the games online at 1070NBCSports.com. So a lot of alumni, a lot of former players, and a lot of families that are out of town listen to the game online at 1070NBCSports.com. So if you want to be a sponsor, 941-206-1188, and we'll take care of you. That's 941-206-1188. We're going to take a quick break. We'll run our Tampa Bay Rays report, and we'll talk a little sports on 1070 NBC Sports. Welcome back to the Larry Timko Show on 1070 NBC Sports, broadcasting live from our Port Charlotte studios. Another Rays loss, with some 10.5 games behind the Yankees and Red Sox in the AL East, tied with the Orioles and Blue Jays for last in the division. So I'm throwing in the flag. You're right. The Rays are done. But the Yankees, they're playing the Red Sox tonight, and joining me live in studio right now, performing at Visani's all weekend long, the Italian Hurricane, Vic Dibitteo.
Thank you for having me. I don't think you should say the word hurricane in Florida.
I have to. It makes sense that you're here during hurricane season.
Pleasure to be here.
Absolutely. Vic, of course, has appeared on TV's America's Funniest People, where he was the $10,000 grand prize winner.
Wow, that was 1992.
Really?
I had my son. He was 5 years old. I pull him out of a suitcase. We did a ventriloquist act.
92?
Yeah, as he drank a glass of water, as he sang Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, I drank a glass of water. And we won 10 grand.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're also in Kevin James' movie Mall Cop. Paul Blart 2.
That was a great experience. Kevin called me out of nowhere, which was a gift out of left field, and it was a great experience.
Nice. And, of course, you also acted in a pilot with Woody Allen and Danny Aiello.
Yeah, that was a pilot about a club in Brooklyn called Pips.
Oh, really?
But when you hear the word pilot, most of the time they don't go anywhere.
Yeah.
If I had a penny for every pilot I did, I'd be a millionaire.
Oh, man, so a lot of pilots. But that's weird, because when you see a pilot with names like Woody Allen and Danny Aiello, you think that's going to be a big hit.
Right. Well, there's no rhyme and reason in show business.
Yeah.
You can't figure this business out.
I mean, critically acclaimed Woody Allen.
Yeah. When my friend said he's in the pilot, I'm like, come on. He walked in the door. I couldn't believe it. I was starstruck.
Yeah. Wow. That's awesome. And you started out like driving trucks, garbage trucks.
Yeah. I once drove my garbage truck to Dangerfields in New York City. Went on stage, did my act, went back in the truck to finish my route.
So you know where to hide the bodies.
Awesome. Yes. Well, that's what a lot of the hecklers round up.
Yeah. Rodney's like one of my heroes, man.
Oh, here's a great story. I go downstairs. That's where the bathroom was. He comes next to me, and he's taking a piss next to me. Oh, you're a funny guy, all right? Work it out, okay? All right. And he walks. He had a robe on. Great guy.
I remember you saying he had a robe on. I actually remember him coming up on stage with the robe.
He would do that.
I used to watch his show all the time.
I'm going back. This is like the late 1980s.
I probably saw you.
Yeah, I used to do the proms. I used to do the prom seasons there.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. So, but now you've become an internet sensation.
Yes.
Wow. How did that happen? I mean, because you go from like driving a garbage truck to working stand-up comedy to becoming an internet sensation.
Well, I've been doing these videos since 2009. Mm-hmm. Then I did one called Bread and Milk, which went viral. Mm-hmm. I depicted the idiots that go insane when it snows up north. How, I got to get the bread and milk. And it was 26 seconds. I go from my house to the car. I got to get the bread and milk. Oh, my God, they said snow. I got to get the bread. That video got me more recognition than 33 years of stand-up.
Wow.
And since then, I did a rant on Justin Bieber, Kanye West. I do these things called Ticked Off Vic. I got characters, and I'm selling out. I mean, Visani's is sold out.
I know.
It's insane. I'm selling out theaters, and the fruits of my labor is finally paying off.
Nice. Like they said, they call you a cross between Rodney Dangerfield and Ralph Cramden.
I'll take it. That's better than being a cross between Pauly Shore and emo.
We've had Pauly Shore here down here.
Well, no offense, but not my cup of tea.
No, I know. I say he gets by because his mom had a comedy club.
Exactly. Exactly.
It's like when my son eventually gets into radio. It's because I was in radio.
Right. Of course.
I opened the door for him.
I had nobody to help me. I did it all on my own. Here you have this 56-year-old chooch that used the social media, and it's amazing. Network TV is going to be obsolete soon. Because now you have Hulu, Netflix, Roku,